Alright, good morning. You guys hear me in YouTube land? I would assume so because I can hear myself. Like Space Cowboy. Alright, I'll be back in 90 seconds. Play these disclaimers.
Risk disclosure statement. There is a risk of loss in trading stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, derivatives, options, forex, and cryptocurrencies. This risk can be substantial, and therefore investors should carefully consider their financial suitability prior to trading. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. The software, strategies, chat rooms, websites, and any associated websites or digital venues are for educational purposes only and should not be construed as an express or implied promise or guarantee that you will profit by losses may be limited in any manner whatsoever. Users of the information accept sole responsibility for the outcomes of their deployment and wholesale trader, LLC, and any associated companies, agents, management, owners, and customers are listed without reservation. Please trade responsibly. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, Rule 4.41, hypothetical and simulated trading performance results have certain inherent limitations, some of which are described herein. No representation is being made that any account holder is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those shown. In fact, there are frequently sharp differences between hypothetical or simulated performance results and the actual results subsequently achieved by any particular trading program. One of the limitations of hypothetical performance results is that they are generally prepared with the benefit of hindsight. In addition, hypothetical trading does not involve financial risk, and no hypothetical trading record can completely account for the impact of financial risk in actual trading. For example, the ability to withstand losses around a particular trading program and select losses on material points which can also adversely affect actual trading results. Because these trades have not actually been executed, the hypothetical results may have or overcompensated for the impact, if any, of certain market factors such as lack of liquidity. There are numerous other factors related to the markets in general or to the implementation of any specific trading program which cannot be fully accounted for in simulated trading or in the preparation of hypothetical performance results and all, of which can adversely affect actual trading results.
This trade room and this webinars are not intended to mirror my trades or to give specific trade recommendations. In analysis themselves, I share trades and potential trades that I'm taking for myself based on my personal analysis. The goal of this room is to teach trades how to identify specific areas of trades and enter themselves, but ultimately the decision is yours. Trading is extremely risky, and if you do decide to follow my personal trade, you do so at your own risk and can potentially lose your entire account and even more. I'm not always profitable, and I have 14 drawdowns on my trading accounts. The spreadsheet you have access to is my personal spreadsheet that I use to enter zone values and ATR values and help me pinpoint exact prices for my trades. You can see when I enter zone prices into the master spreadsheet as well as the prices to enter trades, whether you want to go long or short. You have the ability to copy the spreadsheet and enter your own values and use mine to confirm zone prices until you're able to draw the zones correctly yourself. The spreadsheet is not telling you which direction to trade.
Soybean iceberg buys ES 212 contracts.
Alright, sorry about that. Equities are selling off here a little bit. Heard some soybean stuff and some Russell stuff. So this is the last event that just fired off in Q. You had a couple back-to-back stop runs here. I was going to trade off of this zone here. I was actually going to take a long potentially, but according to my rules, that is off the table now because this market was.
Soybean iceberg sells ES 201 contracts.
This market pushed an ATR below here. I don't have any aggressive strategies at play right now, but if this retests this zone, comes back, retest fails, I'm going to take a short. Definitely the bark strategy, which we'll go over and see if there's any liquidity down here. I'm not seeing any heavy liquidity, so just the bark. This is an important area for NQ as far as, you know, every day we come up with a thesis based on the bar charts and market profile, which are one and the same. They're just different views of the same stuff. You know, when we're looking at bar charts, we're looking at balance areas and these inflection zones that I draw for myself in my room that you guys have access to now as well as a subscription. If you're not in my room, we'll go over that stuff. But this is a zone. I kept it. You know, usually when you trade up and through zones, they're deleted, but this market did. From yesterday, it did launch from this area again, and then it held yesterday, and here we are again. So
Nat gas iceberg sell NG 165 contracts.
This could just be forming balance here. You know, if this gets through this zone, then there's not a lot of structure back over here where I can see this. You know, you could trade this zone here as far as an aggressive entry, but we'll see. I mean, as far as an ISI zone, but again, this is balance building for the last few days. You want to be very careful taking ISI trades, inflection zone trades, when you're breaking down out of balance areas or above, meaning these traders are going to be trapped, whoever's long in here, and it may just rip right through this zone coming up. So we'll keep an eye on that coming down here. You're always coming up with if-then scenarios. We're not even close to that yet, but I know in my head if we start to come down into here, I'm probably not going to take that trade aggressively out of there. So we'll watch that. But as far as the important area here in market profile, you can see this is two different composites, a high and a low, or a low and a high. This is the most current. Market opened up here, it actually failed at this prior one here, still in the middle of this pretty much, and then came down here. So this is either going to bounce and just continue to do this, or I will watch for this to get inside this prior one. And the tendency, what should happen when markets get into these profiles, is it gets to the other side, and then maybe even lower, and then maybe to zero. So that's what I'm hoping for. But anyway, if this bounces here, this is an important area, right? So I can't take trades. We have it's called profiles encouraged trade based on what has happened here. I could take a long off of this, or if this gets inside here and retest, I could take a short. So I just don't know yet. I have my if-then scenarios, and then I wait for the most important thing in trading is volume. And in futures trading, the SI indicator and these volume events, for me, in my opinion, from trading for 24 years, feels like 240 years. But that, again, I say it every webinar, this stuff, these volume events are the most powerful thing you can use in your trading, if you're trading futures. So we'll go over all of these. As long as you know the thresholds for your individual markets, that's the edge. So we are waiting right now, so I want to see what happens here. The only strategy I have right now, again, so we have certain strategies that we're employing in my room, and this list will grow, but the main ones are here, and the only one I see right now is the blind ATR retest confirm. So it's basically any volume event. I'm only taking those trades if algo guy, so we call this algo guy, this is exponential moving average. I only take those if this is in the direction of my trade, and you can see this thing crossed right at the open and is just hugging the blue now, right? So that the blue is the shorter term exponential moving average, and these are just ribbons, these are different time periods for longer term and shorter term. But the algos trade off this thing extensively, so when this thing crosses, these algos jump on board, and you can see this thing can't even get back to the red right now, so just keeps touching blue and continuing lower. So my point is, if it comes back to that volume event, I will take the short on a retest failure. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm going to put an alert here in case I'm not on this page when it comes back. And we actually have trades that play for the move back to the event. It's called the ATR reversion trade. So in this spreadsheet, which you guys have access to, actually let me post this. So this is all my information here. I'll post this in YouTube and Discord. There's that. So the new course came out. There's a couple more on the way. Actually about the ATR trade, and then I'm going to have a course on these actual trading strategies, and these are all going to be continuing education courses as well. So with the new medium that I'm using, I can add stuff as time goes by, and so I will be adding, especially for the trading strategies. This will be, this will probably be 50 or more when all is said and done. So, once that course comes out, as I add a new strategy, you'll get access to that as well. Anyway, there's a course. This is the new website that I have that gives you access.
November iceberg by CL 151 contracts.
Gives you access to the spreadsheet that I'm using. This is you get this if you're a member of my trade room, but if you can't get in my trade room, you can get the access to this. The spreadsheet is a godsend, and then the inflection zone charts that I've been showing, the zones, and then a combination if you want those. And then I'm going to have also there's still some bugs in it, but this will be in spreadsheet form too. So it's not, up until now you had to literally just copy these yourself, these zones by hand. I'll have a spreadsheet with all of these in there, and my guy's working on it right now. It's not working properly yet, but it'll be up and running soon. All right, so I was looking at a potential short in crude as well. I did not get filled. I'll show you what I did. I probably would have been filled anyway, but my entry was going to be at 18, but I was not going to short into this prior event. So we'll go over what I was looking at here, but this is exactly why. So if my entries are in prior events, I move them out of there because these markets bounce off these prior events ridiculously often. Hold on one second, guys. All right, sorry about that. I forgot what I was saying here. So anyway, there was a new event here. So this is also something in the works. There's going to be a subscription base for this drawing tool. My room members right now get access to this as well for a beta test. So if you join my room, you're going to get this own drawing tool, which is another godsend. Which is, if you guys have watched any of my prior webinars the last 5 years using this drawing tool from 1982 is not fun to use. It's very cumbersome. This draws the zones automatically. Right now it's not perfect, but at least it puts it on the chart, and then you'll have to adjust it, right? So this is a good example of adjusting a zone. This is the SI on chart as well. That is kind of reflecting what's going on down here. The sub chart is different sometimes because of the way it's displayed. But the point is, you can see this is where this buy ice started to come in right around this price, this yellow line. And then you can see how this spikes here, right? So it triggered there. You can see that bias coming in, and then it continued to increase. They were just tagging the same price, and this iceberg kept increasing. So I go over this all in my every day in my trade room, but I go over this in the new course as well, how to draw these zones properly. I've been actually drawing these zones wrong for about 5 years, and we've corrected that. And a lot of these zones are one price. So this actually looks like this is one price, right? So I wouldn't. The old days I would have included these moves away from the area, and I've always said include all the prices that happen in this event, right? Well, you can see as this moves away, this thing's flatlining. So this is, and I use reset mode. So this resets at the minute mark every minute once this stuff comes in. So that's not indicative of the actual iceberg coming in. That's me. That's my setting cutting off in a minute. So you don't necessarily have to include prices that like move away if this thing is flatlining, right? This did increase a little bit here, and you can see. Sorry. 150, and then it only increased by a couple, but you had 4 more lots, and it did move down here a little bit. So I'll make this zone a little further. So this is where it triggered, and then you can see, just watch how it spikes. Use your crosshair, and then follow the prices down until it flatlines. So I basically would have it down to here as that last price before this flat line to the minute mark. So the way I do this with this drawing tool is bring this down here. Again, you can scroll it. It's awesome. This will be available soon, and I mean as a subscription to the general public. But again, you get it in my room right now. All right, so that zone 8373 to 8370 is the current zone, and then we're going to see where we're at and judge how we're going to trade this potentially. So it's where you go to your spreadsheet first and plug in the zone. 8373, I think I said 8370. Check that in a second. And we're using a 5-minute Wilder's ATR. This is telling me the current volatility of the market. Very, very important. The two most important things in trading are the volatility of the market and volume events, right? So we include both of those. Then we have specific rules how we trade based on how this moves away from this zone. So I know this is a bullish event if this can get to my validation price on my spreadsheet, and that would be 84.05. I may have already gotten there. Then not yet. So I still don't know what this is, but it's looking like this is going to be a bullish setup. So crude has obviously gotten smoked. We were talking about this for days that I saw this coming. I didn't see this kind of move coming, but we talked about how this was a failed breakout of this structure. Once it got through this high volume node, it was look out below. It tried to hold, and then just got killed. So, obviously there were external factors, news, something Russia said something yesterday or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not a fundamental trader. I don't care what the news is. I watch what happens when the news comes out, right? I don't just guess what's going to happen because of news. This was telling me already before that news even came out that something was up. This market should have never come back and breached this area if it was going to be truly bullish. It breached it, built a little balance, then got smoked. Now this is, so these Izzy zones, these are the best Izzy trades. When you get to these events on huge moves down, like if this would have made it to this one today, that would have been an awesome event, but I mean an awesome long opportunity. But anyway, this thing's been beaten down, so I can see this. I can see this ripping from here a little bit to try to capture some of that. The point is, this is actually a different type of Izzy. I'm going to take an Izzy long here. The volume event just happened in this, right? Or pretty close. Let's see. Yeah, it was 70. 73. So, you guys, these are zones. These are not exact prices, but in this area. So, if this market retests, so now we already know it's a bullish event. I said 84.05. If it comes back, retest, fails, I'm going to take.
Taking a look at the fear and greed index.
I'm going to take an Izzy long, and I'm going to take a bark. Well, let's see.
Crypto fear and greed index.
Potentially a bark long. The algo guy has just pulled across, so this is bullish. So I can take bark trade and lick trades. Lick trades are trades to the liquidity, and you can see there's liquidity up here. So I got 3 different longs if this retest fails. You may be asking, why don't I go long right now? Because I've learned the tendencies of these events, and it goes on in every single market. Certain times I will get in the minute it breaks out of there. This is not one of them. Even though it was an Izzy zone, it's kind of a different variation where it already moved. It happened. Well, let's see here. Izzy zones are Izzy trades are fade trades, right? So when the market moves into a zone, I'll fade it. But this is kind of got the event that just happened. If it comes back to the zone, I'm going to take it. It's a little bit of a variation, but the point is, not most, but a lot of the strategies, I demand the ATR, at least an ATR, and then a retest of the zone. And then when it comes back and confirms and can move an ATR out again, those are the best probability trades. So that's why I wait for that, where I don't chase the markets. Again, we have certain strategies that get in immediately, but this is not one. None of these are those. So I'm going to wait for that, and then I'm going to go along 3 different strategies. I am risking this thing can just rip here right now, and that's the way it goes, right? But
So in the Stops Icebergs sells in 159 contracts.
there's always another setup in the wings, and I don't chase if my strategies don't call for that. So I'm going to put in an alert in here as well, that retest, and then I'm going to look for longs. This keeps going. I'm sure something else will come in. I'll have another opportunity to something else coming in, meaning a SI event. I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to go long there as well. So keep an eye on that. Let's see what's going on here. So I'm still waiting for a retest of this zone. You can see nothing's going on here. So you got to remember, guys, these algos know when nothing's going on. Just like we can see it, they can see it. When nothing's going on, big money's not playing, there's no puking, that's when they start their games, right? And you can see it right there. These are algos whipsawing traders to death, right? So I am expecting a retest of that. We'll see. If not, then I wait for my new event. I don't think it looks like the ATR trades got smoked here. I just want to see. So we have some disqualifiers for these ATR trades. So again, the ATR trades are trading at ATRs back to the zone. So for this one, I would have been looking at it. And I don't take these on webinars. That you got it. This is like a very shorter term scalp type trade. I can't keep up with it. First one would have been long at 12.25, stopped out at 83.50. That's obviously got killed. The 2 ATR. Then we'll look at some of the reasons why I may have lost. Sometimes you're not going to have a reason why I lost. I was going back and forth with a guy the other day, and he understands probabilities. But guys, anything in trading is not 100%, right? If you have an edge, and that is definitely an edge. There's a ton of traders in my room taking that's reversion trade, and a couple of them made a lot of money taking it. There's just going to be losses. You just put them on to the next one if they lose. If you know you have an edge, over a series of trades, you're going to be profitable. The second one was the 2 ATR here was 90.75, stop out at 61.25. That looks like that may have stopped. No, you're still alive in that one. So I don't want to jinx my room. So there's different ways you can trade these. It's going to be in the course, but you can take the 1 aggressively. There's a lot of traders that just take the 1, and then they'll take the 2 as well if it comes back to the 2. You could just wait for 2s. So this is the question I always get in my room, like which one should I take? Well, that's something that you have to decide on your own, because sometimes, like I said, some people love taking the ones, and the ones work all the time. Sometimes they don't. This one didn't, but if you're in the two, you can play the two, and then you can play what we call the two, and then you take the one when it comes back. It's called the backdoor one, because this has a tendency, if it gets back to the one, very likely to get back to the zone. So we have different variations. It'll all be in this new course that I'm coming out with, but right now you are live on the 2 ATR reversion. Talking to my room, if they took it, I'm sure many people did. Stop out at 61.25, and then you can take the threes too. And these equities, looks like the 3 got filled too, right? Yeah, the 2 and the 3 both are filled. 3 wouldn't stop out at 37.50. Equities usually do not get 3 ATRs away from the event before something else fires off. But there are certain markets you just want to look for the 3 ATR reversion, and those are like grains and bonds, natural gas, those types of markets. So I don't want to confuse people, especially if you're new to this, but there are two sections of this spreadsheet, and this is the same one that you would get here if you subscribe to it. It's this one here. All right, so the top is for the position trading strategies that we talk about, and these are looking for bigger type moves. And then this one is for the reversion. So you plug in the zone, and then it gives you all the reversion prices as well. Or not the zone. The zone's already in up here. Plug that in, and that gives you all the prices for both the position trading and the ATR. So that's what you get with that. All right, so I'm just waiting for a retest there. Waiting for a retest here. It's starting. So again, I'm waiting for a retest failure, and then I'm going long 3 different strategies. This is crude. You got natural gas number coming out here in about 7 minutes. So let's see what happens there. Russell, I actually potentially missed a trade here. Let's see. So this happened right when I got on the webinar. Nothing's really happened yet. 198 buy ice. So I'm probably missing a trade here, but let's see. Make sure the zone's correct. Again, it draws a zone, but you have to adjust it many times because the programmer that is actually in the room that came up with this, I told him the old way was to draw every price that happened in the spike. Well, we've changed it a little bit, so improvements are coming, but just this alone by itself is, like I said, is a godsend, where I don't have to sit here and hit edit, put in the zone, come in here, hit horizontal line, put the line in, color the line, come back, get out of edit mode. I mean, it's night and day. So just drawing it, like I said, is a godsend. So anyway, you can see here, this market came down, started to tag this price that started the iceberg, right? This is not part of that iceberg. So in the old days, I would have drawn up to here. No, it moved away, and see how it's flatlining as it moves away? That means no more buy ice up there. Came down, tagged it again, spiked a little bit here. Moved away, came down, tagged it again, spiked a little here. Now I want to see, and then you can see it spiked again here. They just keep tagging this one price, and obviously the iceberg was sitting here at 1743. And then it pretty much flatlines. I mean, it does increase a little bit, but it's just all on this one price. So this may be a 1 tick zone. It did, let's see, did it increase down here? I would say this is the same. Yeah, that's the same price there. It increased a little bit, still there. And remember, if it flatlines, and it's just drawing to the minute mark, and then it dissipates. So this looks like a 1 tick zone to me. So I'm gonna. You can't make this 1 tick. I mean, you can't make it the same tick. It's the minimum 1 tick on this drawing tool. But so I know it's 1743 is the price. I'm gonna get this as close as possible. It's gonna be 1 tick wide. So I'll plug that in and then see how this market, and see where we're at, and see how I'm gonna trade this potentially. Go to the spreadsheet. 1743. 1 tick zone. Plug in your ATR. ATR is 3.81. All this is telling me is it's basically rotating 38 ticks every 5 minutes, which is very, very important information. Now we judge by the prices what I'm going to do here. So first of all, I want to see where we're at in the bigger picture. We're just basically sitting in this Izzy zone, so there's not really a trade here. I mean, granted, if the market were to do one of these, move away, retest. This is kind of that variation like I'm going to do with crude potentially, where it comes back to the zone. I would short that as an IZZY trade. As far as barks and licks and the other types, ATR reversion trade or the retest fail trades.
Stock by ZW, 327 contracts.
Algo guy is it's right on top, so I could take a trade either way. You see how this is just bouncing back and forth. The blue and the red are on top of each other, so I can take bark trades long, bark trades short, lick trades long, lick trade shorts, and it all depends. And you can see this is just kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's just right in the middle of this few day balance here. So this is kind of a choppy area. This may have qualified for a short and disqualified a long. Let's see what that is. Validation price for a short was 92, 1739.2. It got there to the exact tick. So okay, this is it. This is the one ATR on top of it, right? I was waiting for that to validate it as a short setup, but if you go to the ATR, you would have been long at 96, stops at 50, you're out at 26. So that was a 30 tick trade straight back to the zone, and that's the ATR trade right there, over and over and over all day long in all these markets. It's a little crazy how often it comes back to the zone. Again, you don't know. Sometimes it's a 1, sometimes it's a 2, sometimes it's a 3. Point is, you get one that you like to trade. Again, the aggressive traders like just taking the 1s. You may say, I want to just see 2s. You may say, I want to just see 3s. So you have to decide. But I'm telling you, from watching 4.2 million of these things over the last 5 years, the odds of this coming back to the zone, again, this is my personal opinion of watching all these. I wish I had stats. I wish I was keeping track of this whole time. But I just trust me, it comes back to these zones at least 70% of the time. You just don't know how many ATRs until it does. But usually the sweet spot for equities are the 1s and the 2s. All right, so that's the qualifier, though, for a potential short here. We got the ATR, retest. If it fails, I'm going to go short at least the bark trade. I'm not seeing any liquidity down here. And I'm going to go short that IZZY trade that I just talked about. So those prices are, go back up to the position trading side of this, 74. I can put on 12 micros. So I will load that up. I'm going to trade the IZZY, and I'm going to trade the bark. 1747.4. And then IZZY. All right, so those are working. The market comes back. I'm going to short. Take a look at our internals real quick. I just want to see what's going on, bigger picture. Nothing really doing in the ADD. Advanced decline lines just sitting right around 0. I'm not seeing anything there. You can see ticks not really giving any.
Nat gas iceberg sell NG, 215 contracts.
Right.
Nat gas stock by NG, 316 contracts.
So nat gas numbers obviously out. We'll go over there in a second. This is not telling me much. It tells me this is a chop fest. You can see it's not making extremes either one way or another. This is the NASDAQ tick. This is the NYSE tick. It can't really get above or below just even the 500 line. Usually, always, if you're seeing trend type days, this thing's going to be tagging 1,000 at least, or 1,000 to the upside at least. When you're seeing this type of trade, this is probably what you're looking at, type of whipsaw action. So this is something you want to keep an eye on as well, just to kind of gauge what you're, and when the market's like that, the reversion trades are much more likely to work, right? Because it's just a chop fest. So these algos just snap it back to the volume events. It's uncanny how often it happens. All right, so anyway, if this comes back down here, I'm going to go short, Russell, and I'm still waiting for a retest of the zone, and Q has not happened yet. There has not been any events in here since these 2 stop runs. So keep an eye on that. I do need to get my tick strike rolling so we can get a little torture going if I have a position. I call it torture. I absolutely need to have this, but it is the worst when you are watching a position go against you and listening to it at the same time. It's not very fun, but this just alerts me of all these stocks. This is so Bookmap has come up with his own version of this. It's actually this on steroids. That's this. I turn it on and off. I want them to put this on another type sub chart so it's not overlapping my SI stuff, but right now it's on this. But this is telling me
Nat gas ice iceberg sell NG 153
this
contracts.
is telling me the most buying or selling in the last hour. I haven't set for an hour, and we'll see some examples of some. Actually, here's a good example in ES this morning. We have strategies for this too. This is a very short-term type of trade, more scalping, but you can see here this morning these sellers started again. If you see this tipping out, it means it's over 70% of the most buying or selling in the last hour. Granted, this was pre-market, but you can see up here. Yeah, you can see them in the bubbles too, but you don't. These bubbles, you have no idea. Like, is this important? Is this important? Well, you can see these bubbles are actually more meaningful because it was the most selling in the last hour. This is again Market Pulse. There's going to be a course on this as well. I don't have it all down yet, but there are trades that you can take off here. Let's see if I can just give you a quick example because nothing is going on. There is nat gas. Oh, and by the way, crude did not retest, and it got up to that liquidity, and that's the way I trade. It still may come back and retest. I can go long, but this could run away, and I just didn't put that on. Those are my rules, right? I follow my rules. I don't just haphazardly say, oh yeah, I think this is going up, and just throw an order in. I wait for my rules to hit. If they don't, I don't take the trade. Anyway, let's see here. So this was the first big selling here, and this has been. This kind of blew above, so that one probably wouldn't have worked. Let's see. Let's show us some other examples here. I'm just talking about the scalp trade that we're doing in the room. I have videos in my room where you can potentially take advantage of this. At the time, these sellers were offsides again. But the way I talk about trading these, again, I don't want to confuse you guys because this is way off topic of what we're really doing, especially today, or the position trading type of stuff. But many times when a market, you see these sellers, they get off sides, the market moves away. Well, many times, almost always, it'll come back and retest, and then you would take the long on the second wave, not the first one. So it moved, sellers off sides, market moves away, comes back, market moves away again, you would go long, and again, it's a shorter term type trade. But that didn't happen. The sellers came in, it did retest, and then it just blew through. Let me see if it retested to the downside here. So this one, yeah. So here, this is the tendency. This is what I'm talking about right here. Again, I didn't take these. I'm just showing you guys the tendencies here.
128 contracts.
So that was, well, maybe not. I was looking at this retest here. I don't think it got back there though. This one it did, right? So yeah, you had two here. You had one here and one here a little higher, but moved away, came back, failed. So I'm just giving you guys examples. Don't, if you're new to this, I wouldn't even pay attention to this right now, but this is just showing you. So that's the one thing I don't like about Tick Strike. I've been using this for 13, 14 years now. I love it to let me know, alert me that, what's going on in the FANG stocks and these other markets. If I'm not watching them, you hear it firing off. There is no history to this, right? So this is from 1 to 15 as far as intensity. This is just an algo that's telling you the speed of the orders coming in and the size of the orders coming in. Same thing this is showing you. This is showing you a history. So I can go back at, and look and say, okay, so what happens when they are aggressive here? Well, this one, you can see they're aggressive, moved away, moved and worked, right? This, yeah, it's great in the moment, but there's no history. And I've asked them for many years to get a history thing so I can go back and do some studying on it, and they've never come up with it. So still important, still part of my trading. And there's discounts to this on that document I put in the room and the YouTube channel. But I have both, but this is on its way to becoming the staple, one of the staples of my trading. All right, I think I just filled in the old Russell. Let's see what's going on here. I did short Russell, and you can see they're starting to hammer these FANG stocks too. So I mean, the FANG stocks aren't a big percentage of the Russell, that derive the Russell, but they're definitely hitting these futures too. Let's see what happened here. Nothing yet. All right, so now that I'm filled, where did I fill that? Actually, this swipe right through there. So another thing too, this is what you want to keep an eye on as well. You can see here these sellers, nothing's fired off on my SI indicator. These sellers are being very aggressive here. So if this is going to continue lower, this area should not be violated. If this gets back above this area, I'm probably going to take some off, and that's one of the reasons I will get out of trades. this is very important. Let's see what it looked like on the, yeah, so actually I needed to color, I have mine colored, they're supposed to be colored black and yellow because I'm colorblind. So you can see here, look at these sellers, and you can see it on the sweeps indicator, the black sweeps, and then you can see this. So if this market's going to continue lower, and we're actually at a spot gamma level, so if this starts to fail here, I'm going to get out of a couple of these because I've got 12 on. Remember, we shorted at 86. So this is already a 60 tick trade, 50 tick trade. So if this starts to move back above this level, I'm going to get out of a couple. Just because we're at an important level, and I have these already preset. I'm not just like a fly in my pants. Oh, I'm going to get out right here because I like my profit. No, these are predetermined areas that I look at. So let's just see where we are in the lugs. And this is the bottom of this 2-day market profile composite. Don't mind all this stuff. These were prior areas from a long time ago. Let's get this out of here so it's easier to see. I just didn't color this in. I just drew this right here. So I have confluence here, right? I have actually a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to get out of probably half of them here if this fails. You got baby lug. See that horizontal line? Call it baby lugs. These are lug levels. We'll talk about those. Extreme standard deviation of VWAP. Bottom of this market profile composite. I just haven't colored that yet, but this is a 2-day composite. And a spot gamma level. So if this starts to run away from here, I am getting out of half my position. I'll take my 60 ticks and then I'll let the rest run. The way you can kind of judge here, obviously, we've seen these sellers came in all the way up here. I'm not going to let this come all the way back above here to get out of some of these. If this starts to pop it back above 1734, I'm going to get out of half of my trade because this is so. But you can use this tick strike to judge, like if they're and market pulse, obviously, if they're hammering these stocks, if you can try to hold on to it. This is telling you something though. If you're seeing this thing spin like it is right now, as they're pummeling these things and pummeling NASDAQ and ES, and this is just spinning in place, it's telling you once they relent on this stuff, this is probably going to rip back up, at least temporarily. So I will be getting out of half here. I'm just going to put my order in if this pops above 40, so I'm not missing it because I'm obviously on the webinar, and that's all I do is miss trades and make mistakes because I'm on the webinar. So I will get out of half of those. So basically at 42, if it pops back, I'm talking about the last 2 digits, mind you. 42. So if that pops back above here, I'm getting out of a couple. Other than that, if this keeps heading lower, and there's been no setups in the ES, you can see the sellers came in here too. They had all the markets at the same time. Now we may be getting something. We already got 434 icebergs, so this may trigger. We'll see in ES because I know how you guys love to stare at that crappy ES. There was a stop run here in NASDAQ. I didn't even hear that, but you can see the awesome zone drawing tool just drew that. So I can now again. Remember, I was waiting for a retest of this zone. That never happened. But I told you, don't worry. There's another one right around the corner. Here you go. So I could trade off this one potentially. I want to see if there's any other areas that I would potentially get out of here. You got yellow lug. I'll definitely get out of half of these at the yellow lug. That's just if it's far enough. So this will be almost 100 tick trade here if it gets down to 94, 1729.4, right? And again, it's all right around this area, so I'll definitely be watching 94. Let's see what this can do. Then I'll come back to. But you see, I didn't have to panic out. I see they're still hammering these stocks. It was spinning. I'm just hoping we get down 90. It's real close, so I'm not even gonna mess around with this. I'm just gonna get out of some right here because I just can't. When I'm on these webinars, I can't come back over here, so I'm gonna get out of some there. And then what I'm gonna do, so I have 6 on. I'll get out of 3 if it pops back above that 42, and then I'll let the rest ride. So again, I'm gonna get out of 3 if it pops back above this spot gamma level that we just talked about. And then I'm going to let the rest ride. I'll still have 3 on, and I'm going to try for the blue lug. So I'll hold that now until we either get to the blue lug. We'll go over these Ludwig level. They're called Ludwig levels. We call them lugs, so I'm just say Ludwig level 85 times on the webinar. I'm going to try to get to there. That's where you get your multiple R's on the trade. I already made 70, 80 ticks on this trade, but I'm saying this is pretty far away. I'll hold it But if I get an opposing volume event that turns bullish, then I'll get out of all of them. So we'll see what happens here. Let's see here, 42. So I got out of 6 more there. All right. So that is, those are working, those 2 strategies. Let's see what happens here. So what I was telling you guys, so that these are all predetermined areas that I get out of. They're all right here, right? Number 5, I show you guys this every week. If you come on my trade room, this is straight out of Trading in the Zone. You have to, I make a joke every time I show this, that you need to have this tattooed to your forehead to be a member of my room, like a real tattoo. And then you have to put it in on backwards so you can look in the mirror and read this every day off of your forehead. If you can't do that, if you can't put the tattoo on your forehead, then you need to read this every morning until it's ingrained in you, right? We'll go over this. I'll go into some rants about this, I'm sure, this webinar. But you see, number 5, I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. These are the areas I get out. So we saw there was a baby lug there. There was no market profile composite. Actually, yeah, there was. I'm sorry. It was a market profile composite low. So we were talking about, we had multiple. We had a baby lug. We had a market profile composite low. We had a spot gamma level. We had a VWAP standard deviation, right? And then, so I got, the yellow lug was close enough. That's why I got out. But if it pops above there, then this is the other reasons why I'm getting out of another third of that. So we will see what happens. But these are all predetermined. I'm not just trading by the seat of my pants, right? I already know where I'll get out, what I want to do. If this pops above this level here, I'm going to get out of half of half. I'll still have 3 on, and then I'm going to try to let that ride. And if not, it either comes back, stops me out above this event where my stop is. I actually didn't even put it in, but if it starts to get up there, if not, I wait for an opposing event, or I wait for the lug. So quickly talk about that. Actually, let's get this NASDAQ zone drawn, and it looks like it's going to try to do an ATR reversion. That's what we were talking about earlier. Let's make sure this zone is. You see how much time this saves me though? Like usually I'd come back over here, scramble, figure out where the prices are, just draws it. I just have to adjust a little bit. The scroll feature is awesome. So you can see this is the stop run right here. This actually did not hit threshold. I don't know why it drew. But there hasn't been barely any events today. You could go a little under threshold. My threshold for NASDAQ is 150. We'll just put this in. I don't usually go under, especially if you're seeing like 180, 200, 300. You don't want to be trying to get to threshold. Again, I don't know. This is supposed to be drawn at 150. The thing is, Johan, who made this indicator, he's in my room. He may have a different, because these do vary based on computer and the clock. His may have hit 150 on his computer because this is all based off his computer that draws on all the Bookmap, all our stuff. He may have hit 150, so I'm just going to assume that was there. I just stopped out of the other 3 of mine, so I still have 3 on. So this was the area that I said. Of course, it ticked me out. It just happens to me 85 times a day. I literally had it at 42. That was the top price there. Of course it was. All right, it's all right. It was a nice trade. Remember, I got out some down here. It was close enough to the yellow lug for me, especially on these webinars. And then I got out of another 3 right there. If this turns around, sells off, I'll be bitching that I got ticked out, but I still have some on, so I'm all right with it. That was a good trade, and it was quick. That's the way I like them, nice and quick. All right, so the point is, this is probably threshold on his computer. I'm going to draw this zone, and I'll trade off at 766 quarter down to 760 is your zone. So we plug that in the spreadsheet. 14. If you guys got questions, throw them in YouTube. I'll answer them here shortly when I'll take a breath. 27.43. That's your current ATR. Just make sure that was right. Whoops. Didn't want to do that. 66 quarter to 60. All right. So now I wait for my prices. So that to make this a valid short setup, I need to see this price, right? And this is all based on trading so many of these. I've determined if the market can get an ATR away from the zone, it proves to be a short setup. And this is obviously an ATR away from the zone. What do we say it was again? 32.50. So this definitely hit 32.50 and beyond. And now here's the routine. So if you did take the reversion trade, again, I'm jumping back and forth. This is to qualify a position trade, one of these, right? Whatever one we decide to take, I'll go over that. This is the reversion trade. You would have been long at 35.25 for the 1 ATR. You're out at, or you stop out at 250 and you're out back at the zone. The 2 ATR, you're in at 1075. It didn't get down to 1075, I don't think, no. But the 1 is currently working. Again, I don't want to jinx my room. But all that trade is just a quick, you jump in at the 1 ATR, the 32.50. You're out when it gets back to the zone. Over and over and over all day long it goes on. It's a little nutty. Alright, so I want to know if this retests anyway, so I'll put in another notification here. I'm going to delete this one up here because I'll forget where it was, and then it'll be going off for like 2 hours and I won't be able to find it. Remember, we had one up here too. I'm going to delete that one. Alright, there we go. Alright, I need to take a quick breath. Let's see if you guys got questions. Deborah Corbo, Scott, something I don't understand with Bookmap is are there orders sitting above price and often buyers eat right through them with no downside reaction?
151 contracts.
Don't really understand that. Hold on. Something just fired off in crude. We'll come back here. But again, like I said, remember I was waiting for it to go long here. I even had my alert here. Might happen there. There's something right around the corner. Here's your new event. So we'll mark that up here in a second. Are there orders sitting above price and often buyers eat right through them and no downside reaction? Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, we call it liquidity. Now, liquidity are orders in the order book. It's just displaying it in a different sense. So, I mean, a different type of view, but that's what liquidity is they're orders. But you need to understand, first and foremost, liquidity, and I'm talking about liquidity that's been sitting in here for a long time, not this type of liquidity. You see the algo liquidity in here. They're just, spoofing is illegal. I'm using air quotes because it's complete nonsense. This is spoofing right here. These guys are spoofing. What's spoofing? It's putting orders in the order book with no intention of filling. It's just basically trying to screw traders over, scaring traders in and out of the market, pulling, put them in, pulling. It's very fleeting if you're looking at it over here. Over here, it's very clear. Whoever this is, and I guarantee this is one house, they're spoofing. The market comes close to their bid, they pull it. Comes close to their offer, they pull it. So they're just trying to catch, hopefully get a little piece and then flip it the other way. So this is just an algo screwing with you guys, right? So I don't pay attention to that liquidity. I pay attention to liquidity that's been there forever. Not forever, but you know what I mean, longer term. And what you need to understand, that liquidity, and there's not really any in here right now. They kind of pulled it, but I'm sure we can find some here. Let's look at like this stuff, right? These are magnets. Why? Because, and I showed this last week, I don't know if I can get on there, and it's not for kids' ears, my trading, but I used to be this liquidity, so I know the games that goes on, right? I used to put my orders in. Again, if it gets really dead here, I'll try to pull it up. I showed it last week too, of my old trading when I was flipping. I was averaging 50,000 contracts a day trading the E-mini S&P. You can watch me. One of them, I've got like 1,200 on it. It's not going well, so that's where you're going to hear the swearing. Anyway, the point is, these are magnets. The games that these bigger players play is they get loaded up, they buy it down here, and then they start to push it right into their orders, and then everybody jumps on, and then everyone's going crazy buying, and then they buy right into the order, and this guy's done with this manipulation. That's what I did all day, every day. And back then, spoofing was legal, and that's all I did too, right? So you can see this. See this one house in here? I showed this last week too. This is one entity messing with you guys in crude right now. Whipsawing to death. See all that? That's one house putting them in pulling. Don't pay attention to that. So I digress a little bit. Point is, these are magnets for market. So that's why we have a lick trade. I was going to take that trade because I know the market's going to be going up to this. I don't know anything, but there's a very good probability all this liquidity gets filled today, right? Because they'll make themselves get filled because they run the show. You can see this house in here is running the show right now. This is all one house. So the point is that's very likely going to get filled. If it's telling you something, if it rips through this, a lot of times it'll fill these guys. They get their fill. Sometimes they're playing games. They'll have their offers up here and they'll have their bids down here, and you'll just see it clear as day. It'll come and fill that, turn around and come down here. It's telling you something. You're asking about why, if it will push through. that's telling you something. If it could push through this heavy liquidity and hold, then it's telling you that it's very likely to continue higher. So that's just a thesis you can come up with the liquidity. I think that's what you're asking. If not, please expand a little bit. Alios, I think that's how you say it. No, he's answering you. Yes, of course, Deborah trading is not that easy. We'll never think liquidity levels are walls. Just watch the market reacts. They're walls many times, but you just need to judge how it's trading there. We'll go over some of that here as these algos just wreak havoc in the market today. Let's see what's going on here. Still short. Now it's just bouncing on around this level, right? So and remember, this whole time for the last 20 minutes that I've been short this thing. Remember, we're going crazy, and this thing couldn't really go that much lower. So that's kind of telling you something. This may turn around and rip. I'm not getting out of it. I still have a little bit on. I still follow my rules to get out, but it wouldn't surprise me if this thing rips off the page a little bit, because they were hammering all these, and this kind of just spun. So it may do that. That's fine. I'm out of 3/4 of my trade. Even if it comes out and stops me out in the last 3, it's still going to be a profitable trade. But I'm just telling you guys to help you kind of judge. Like if you're at an important area like this is, remember we talked about there's like 4 things here. Well, if it just keeps spinning when these things are getting killed, this area is very likely to hold, right? So that can help you judge whether to try to hold for the move through it, or you're like, okay, yeah, they hammered it. This is an important area. I'm getting out of all my trade. You have to come up with your own rules. I'll just give you examples of where you can just help you decide if you're going to get out at this level or try to let it go further. Right now, it's looking like this level's going to hold, and you can see these buyers, and you can just tell by the bubbles. There's more buyers than sellers down here, meaning there's more taking of offers than hitting of bids. That's telling you something, especially when we're at an important area. We already talked about it. Spot gamma level, extreme standard deviation, market profile composite low. Let me put this in too, just so it's clear. Again, these are just day value areas of days. A value area is 70% of the trading day, where it traded the most, 70% of the time, and then they're merged. So these, and you can see, look how well this respected this. This came up pretty much to the exact tick, fired back down, and here we're at the bottom. That's why I got out of these. And it came real close to the yellow lug. That was close enough for me. I got out half my trade, and that was extreme standard deviation too. So, all right, I'm done talking about that market. Let's see what's going on. Crude. There was a bunch of stuff in natural gas. This is, again, the beauty of this drawing tool, and I can go back and, if anything, you guys can hear me bitch that I missed some trades. Let's see here. There's the number. You can see that stop run. So this was a broken double whammy. So double whammies is one of my 6 setups. Again, I always show this. Hold on, let me see if I can pull that up here for you. Just show you what it looks like now. It's all updated and not a bunch of downloads. Just want to show you guys. You can see, of course, that's the wrong password. That's the wrong password. Last chance, or I can't show you. I was just going to show you the different setups on the course. I forgot my password for that. I just changed it, so I can't show you. But anyway, this is a double whammy. One of the 6 distinct setups, and we got another setup coming in. And if you bought the course, it's going to be automatically updated with the whole new strategy. Again, that's the beauty of that medium I'm using. I can add things, and it's continuing education. Anyway, there's a 7th setup coming. It's going to be called Hot Knife Through Butter. I'm not covering it on this webinar. I don't want to confuse people, but that's the seventh wonder of the world, and it's coming soon to a theater near you. Anyway, this was 380 stop runs into 500 sell ice. So somebody tried to hold this, so you had the dumb money puke into the waiting hands of the big money. The majority of the time, this means this market's going to turn around and go lower. It's telling you something if it didn't, and it didn't, and you can see what it's doing, right? This is 140 ticks higher from this area, basically. So I talk about this in the course too. This is a broken double whammy. When you get broken double whammies, broken step bros, again, one of the 6 setups, it's really telling you something bigger is going on, and whoever tried to stop this got their asses handed to them. Yeah, again, you got to just assume they're initiating position. You don't really know what they're doing. You're never going to know. You just have to assume they were trying to, stop the market here. Anyway, I'm not gonna. I already missed this trade. I just wanted to show you this drawing tool and it kind of shows you. But this was. I don't even know if I would add a trade here, but this was a broken double whammy. You could trade a retest failure of that, but I'm not gonna draw that right now. Let's see what else we got. Gold. I actually missed a trade here. This was a Dumb and Dumber earlier. Huge stop run. I actually started my computer, my Bookmap late. Somebody said this was a 1500 stop run down here. And you can see, here's the tendency. I missed this trade. I mean, it was basically all through here, but you had your ATR, your retest, failure, and then this just came in and it looks like it happened again. ATR, retest, failure, came back again, held, still looks like that. So this liquidity may get filled, right? This has been in there for a while. Remember what I just told you about these guys that run the show? They will probably push this down into this. Does it mean I wouldn't take it long off of my strategies? No, but you could come up with rules to say, okay, yeah, I'm all for taking longs here, unless I see a bunch of liquidity below this. Then I'm not going to take longs until this stuff gets filled, because it's very, very, very likely that gets filled, because these are the guys that run the market. They will force the market into their orders. Let's see if I can show you this real quick. See if there's any other questions first. I was going to show you some of the trading stuff in my old time trading, but let's get this zone in first. So this looks like it's going to retest this prior zone now, but a new event came in. So I always trade off the most recent event, right? There are times there's variations. I go over this in the course too, where you can trade off an old event, trail your stop, but I'm not going to do it on this one because it's too far away as far as what I'm looking at. We'll go over that here in a second, but this was the event. 151 barely threshold, sell ice. Let's adjust this zone potentially, so you can see it on the on chart there. Actually started down here. You can see, just take your crosshair and see where this starts to spike, right there. So that was basically 84.21, right? That basically flatlines actually. No, so that's only 20 coming in right there. Then watch how this sell ice keeps coming in, and you can see they tried to buy here, triggering more sell ice. So I know it's at least to 30 now, the top of it. Then follow it across. You can see now more comes in, same price. More comes in, a little higher. More comes in, higher. So the top looks right actually. That one are pretty close. Let's see. Say right there. As soon as it starts to flatline, you know you're done. So that looks like, what is that, 32? And then it flatlines. No, still 106. Let's see. Because I know it got down to 140. That was still in the same area, right there. Basically 32. And then it flatlines. More came in, but it was right in the middle of that. So I got 32. I'm just showing you guys how to draw these zones. Again, I go over these every day in my trade room, and it's in the course. But I forgot what I said. What was the bottom price? I forgot what I said here. I think I said 21, right? Yeah, 21. So we got the most recent event, 84.32 to 84.21. Plug that in, see if I missed a trade so I can complain. 84.32.
November iceberg sell CO.
Of course.
151 contract.
Right as I draw this, another event comes in. Just spent 5 minutes drawing the thing. That's the way it goes. There is a way I can trade off of this one and then base my stop out of the new one. We'll go over these scenarios here in a second. 33.8. That's your ATR. What was that? So something else just fired off here. So to make this a bearish event, the price is in here and needed to show 87. Needed to touch 87. It touched 87. So this is a bearish event. So there's potentially a way. I don't think that's going to be able to happen, but there's a way I could wait, still trade this on an ATR retest failure, depending on where the algo guy is, and we'll go over that, and then trail my stop to this event. But what I don't want, I can't do that if this turns into a bullish event, right? So meaning if this got an ATR above there, that may disqualify this from the short, and I'm always looking at the most recent event. So I'm just gonna eyeball this real quick. So ATR is 33, so that put basically 26. Yeah, there's potentially a way because here, let's just, what we're gonna do, we'll put this in the handy dandy spreadsheet here. Let's see. So I already have that zone in here, but I don't want to mess up my prices for the first zone, so I'm gonna go to this. Hold on. Let's go to CL. Let's just put this zone in. So ATR right now is, again, it's up to 34. Let's just put this in real quick. 0.10 again. Don't be risking 10%. We haven't got an Apex. Speaking of Apex, they have sales all the time, but they have the 90% sale. It ends today, and the 90%, you can't afford not to do it. It's like you do the $150,000 account. We'll go over that here in a little bit, potentially if I got time, but. It's like $30 if you get funded. Then you're funded for basically a $5,000 account. So I think it's definitely worth it, especially if you're working on your trading, so on and so forth. That is all in this as well. We'll go over that here in a second, but that's this down here. Use this link. Pulcini 50 works for any sale that they're having, 90%, 80%, whatever. Click on that link. All right, this is from before, so I'm just deleting that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two, right? So this is 173, and in the same area, another 100, almost 150. So now you're looking at almost 300 ICE here. So let's just make sure this is right. Let me just take one quick look. I want to see where, I can't remember what we're doing. Oh, we're waiting for the retest of this zone in NASDAQ. So it still looks like you're alive in the 1 ATR, just is taking its sweet old time getting back here, but it's pretty likely to happen here any minute. All right, let's see where this zone started here. Looks like it started triggering at this price. Probably came down about a tick there. So the first trigger price was 83. Again, the zone trying tool will be way more accurate once we get this set up, but what did I say, 83, and this is still right around 80. This is 81 now. You can see it triggered more there. See how it spiked down? Actually, that was still at 82. Take that back. And that came up to here. Looks like 88. Little spike there to 169. This could get annoying, but you want your zones accurate. I'd say 87. See how it's flatlining after that, so I don't have to include these prices. So 87, right now we're 83 to 87. Then it flatlines. Let me just bring this down real quick. And I'm going to probably adjust this, but I want to get this for this first one. So that's the first one. Right, that was that. Then this came in. And I'm going to combine them because they're right on top of each other. And we're looking for loaded up traders. The areas of traders are loaded up. You can combine things. This gets a little more subjective. But you can see this is all one price. Triggered there. They tried to buy it, tried to buy it, tried to buy it, tried to buy it. Still spiking, and then it flatlines. Back up into it. So I would use this as the bottom of that one. And then it flatlines. So I'm going to move this. So that's 83.80. So I'm going to make this one zone. That and then that. I mean, how cool is this tool, by the way? There you go. 87 to 80 is your zone. Just take a quick look. Algo guy is still bullish, so I wouldn't take any strategies long. It's trying to pull across. Hasn't happened yet. So I can't take any long strategies unless this is an inflection zone, an Izzy zone. Let me put this in here. What did I say, 87 to 80. Let's put this in. Wait, is that 83 or 84? 83, sorry. And ATR is still 33.8. All right, so to make this a short setup, needs to touch 46. If it doesn't, I could potentially still go long off of this setup, and we'll see what happens here. I want to see bigger picture quickly. Of course, I lost my chart. By the way, I'm still short 3 Russell. Stopped out pretty much to the tick for the other 3, but that's how it works for me in the trading world. Always has. I'm still short though. There has not been a setup yet in ES, which is kind of rare. We're over an hour and a half into the session and not one setup. For all you ES junkies. All right, hold on, I gotta find this damn chart now. Thinkorswim is about to be out the door for me. There it is. It should just stay on this, but it didn't. All right, so this isn't really. I mean, it's just bounced around this zone. So when markets bounce around these inflection zones, if you end up coming to my room or you subscribe to this, I update these every day. Every morning I update these things. If the market moves back and through the thing, it's not really relevant anymore, right? I mean, I'll hold this right now because there is a buying tail in here, but there's no Izzy trade for me right here. I mean, there potentially is because it's moving back in here. I could go long, but this setup needs to turn bullish, and it's not bullish yet. I don't know what it is yet until it gets to these validation prices. So if this can hold and not touch the invalidation or the validation price for the short, or the invalidation price are the same thing for the long, as long as it doesn't touch 46, I could potentially trade this to the upside for Izzy's and Barks and Links. So we'll see what happens here. Again, guys, if you're new and you're like, what the hell is he talking about? It's not that difficult. You just need to watch prior webinars that I've done for Bookmap. Just Google Bookmap YouTube and my name, or come in my room. I have 500 plus webinar replays in there that you can learn this stuff. But you got to remember, a lot of you guys always complain I'm talking too fast and so forth. I'm trading live, right? It's not, we don't have time to go over all the basics and explain everything I'm doing. I'm trying to do this stuff live and draw the zones, make this, put it in the spreadsheet, come up with the thesis, all that stuff. So you guys gotta give me some slack about the, talking fast and everything else. But if you don't know what was really going on here, don't despair. It's really not that difficult once you learn it, right? Once you learn it, then it's yours. And the whole idea is to teach you guys how to do this for yourself. It's not to mirror my trades. It's because, again, yeah, the spreadsheet is telling you where to get in, and if I go short, for instance, and where my stop is, yeah, that's fine. But where I get out can be completely different from areas that you find important to get out, so on and so forth. So my whole goal is to teach you guys how to identify the most important thing in trading, volume and volume events, and to learn to trade these for yourself. As you get really good at this, then you can start adapting it. It says 8 every week. This is the science. This stuff's the science. The art is how you trade these. I would recommend using my art at first, and as you get good at these, you can come up with your own variations because if you keep seeing something happen, by all means, make it your own. That's the whole point. All right, so anyway, I'm waiting for this did still not get to 46, so we'll keep an eye on this, see which way we're going to potentially trade that. Russell still is not doing much. I mean, it's just bounced off that yellow lug again, so there's really nothing going on here. See how it just bounced off there again? So these are Ludwig levels. Talk about them every webinar. You can see already, she calls them big red, big blue. These are the most important ones as far as support resistance, and when they break them, coming up with a thesis you could see earlier, or right off of there. I could probably pull up every single market and find an example of it bouncing off the lug. So yes, these lugs have been around for a while. But see, this is telling you, so we talk about this too. So not only can you use them as targets, you can use them to fade, right? But when they do form new lugs, that's telling you something too, right? So the rule of thumb, and watch the webinar I did with her. I can post that again. I haven't posted it for a while, so maybe I'll do that now. Hold on. And we'll go over this. Let's find it here. I think it's in my trade room basics. Yep, hold on. I will post this. You guys watch it if you want to learn about the lugs. This was me and her 2.5 years ago. Very basic. But it's very straightforward. There you go. I'll put this in the Discord as well, because I always get questions on that. All this stuff's available in my trade room too, guys. There's just I'm pulling it off on my trade room. There's so many things in the trade room now. It's been around for almost 3 years. Hold on. Put this in here. All right, so anyway, one of the things we talk about is when it does form new lugs, it's kind of giving you a thesis of what's going on depending on what happens. So when you draw new lugs, if this thing is going to remain bearish, it should hold the new directional yellow. This is kind of like the mean or the point of control. That's the way you can look at it, where it's going to a lot of times be very choppy around. But if this is going to continue lower after forming new lugs, the other one you can't see right here, it should hold directional yellow, last stand prior blue. You can see it peaked, set above there, and then continue on. So I'm still expecting blue. You can come up with a thesis for this stuff too. If this is able to recover and get back above yellow, back above prior blue, then you expect red. As far as coming up with a thesis, I don't just use lugs as my thesis, but this is more of a short term. You can really get a feeling of what's going on, and you can see this looks like it's going to try to get down to the blue. So right now, you know, my thesis would be, just based on lugs alone, we're hidden here because it tried to recover prior blue, not happening. It's probably going to tag blue, and it may even draw new ones, and you do the same thing over again. But as far as you can use it for a thesis, these lugs, you use them as targets. You use them as support and resistance where you fade them. They're incredible. I say it every webinar. They're the second most powerful thing I've ever seen in futures trading, next to the SI indicator, or Bookmap and the SI indicator. So that's the lugs. All right, this is just, these markets are doing nothing now. Whatever happened with NASDAQ? I was waiting for a retest of that zone. I don't think it's happened yet. Yeah, it's trying. It's taking its sweet old time, but it's trying. Algo guy is bearish. Still bearish. Just pulling back into the red. So a lot of times, trend-wise, once this thing crosses, so I tell you guys all the time, I learned this probably 3 years ago. I started incorporating my trading once I really saw how effective it was. But a guy I was mentoring, he uses exclusively, and the way he would trade it is he would wait for pullbacks into the red, and then once it crossed back below the blue, he would go short in this instance and then put a stop above the red. And because you got to fight through all these algos that love to trade the red, so on and so forth. So this is a perfect example of using something like this, right? Whether you like this or not, whatever you may be looking at the 200-day moving average, you may be using Bollinger Bands, whatever you're using is, fine. You don't want 85 things in your chart, but if you think something is important, great. But then wait for a volume event at that area, right? So why he was mentoring with me is because he wanted to make these even better. So we went over how to use volume events to confirm what he was seeing instead of just blindly using algo guy. You see what I'm saying? So that is the point. Whatever you use, I'm not telling you whether it's good or it's bad. I'm telling you, if you believe in it, wait for the real-time volume events, and that is the ultimate edge. And then you build your trade plan around that. So you can have, like I have, how many different trading strategies here, right? I've got 8 to 10 already. Got about another 100 in my brain that will be put down eventually in paper. But this is all this is. These are areas I find important, and I wait for volume events at these areas. That's it, right? So again, you can use what I use. You can adapt it to whatever you're using. But I'm telling you, what you're using doesn't really mean squat unless you're getting these volume events in those areas, right? Or it makes them way more of an edge, is what I'm saying. It doesn't mean it can't bounce off there without a volume event. But if you're patient enough to wait for a volume event, now you got yourself a real edge, because this is stuff that's happening right now, right? That's what's most important. What's happening with the big money, the dumb money, so on and so forth. All right, these markets are doing nothing. Any other questions? Do I think the CFD market has high percentage influence the futures? Right? What's the CFD market? I don't even know what that is. The cash market? I don't know, guys, and it doesn't matter. You don't need, just watch what's going on in here. I mean, if something happens in the cash market, you're going to be seeing it reflected in a lot of the stuff that's happening in here. I try to make my trading as simple as possible, right? Again, I want to show you guys this to show you how simple I really used to make it. I showed it last week, but I'm going to show it again, earmuffs. So I'll start swearing. Hold on, I got to log in here. I got it, all this stuff transferred, and I got to get this stuff on a disk, but let's see if I can log in here. Show you guys quickly. Again, it's not for kids. there's bad words in this. Remember, I'm sitting trading by myself. This was 2003, I think, the year I made 10 million bucks doing this. In this instance, I'm probably gonna, if this thing loads, it's not loading. I think I lost like 25 grand in 2 seconds, and I was not happy. And you try losing 25 grand in 2 seconds, and tell me if you're not swearing a little bit. So I'm trying. I don't know why this won't load, but it won't because I want to show it. Of course. Hold on. Try it one more time here. There we go. I think this is the first one. Yeah, I think this is where I had the. I'm going to try to turn this down soon. But here, this is a good example before it even happens here. This is what I was trying to show you. This is what would look like today, the bands of liquidity. You see here, I have 600. I think those are 600. It's harder to see. And I have 600 down here, right? So that's what that would look like. Then I would start playing my games, right? Again, back then spoofing was legal, and I would start to buy, and then I would try to force it into my orders. If it starts to move lower, I would get long here and then try to push it back into these orders. Just one big game, guys, and that's what's going on all day. If you can see, and you can see what they're doing now. That's the whole point. So let's see if I can show you a little bit of this. Again, this is 20 years ago. The good old days. And if you've got kids in the room, I'm telling you, turn down your volume because it's not pretty. Why is this not? Usually I can drag it and you can see it's not. This might not be the one where I got right there, I'm short 300. And this is what I tell you guys too, back then you could see counterparty. So you can see exactly who you're trading with, right? That's kind of important. So there's this one guy that manipulated the market. See how I just flipped there? See how I have 1,000 here? I got like 1,100, 1,200 contracts right there out of this 2,700. This is what the market used to look like, right? So you can lean. So I know if I get loaded up here, so say if I go short, let's see if I go short here. I think this is where I get run over. No, I deleted them. So that was, see how I'm screwing with the market guy? This is what happens. It still happens to this day. I'm just not doing it anymore. But let's see what happens here. I forgot what I was just going to tell you too. Guys, I'm telling you, this is how you guys have always known this. This is how my head doesn't explode. It's talking. This is why I like doing webinars because it keeps me like grounded. But I used to just talk out loud because, when you've got tens of thousands of dollars riding in every trade, like you got to talk it out because my head would pop off my shoulders. So this is me complaining because this one guy used to literally manipulate the market all day long, like illegal manipulation. I'm not going to get into that, but that's me complaining. I'm trying to talk over it so you guys can't hear me swearing. Hold on, I just want to see. I was getting to something there and I can't remember. Sorry. How do I get out of those? I think I just covered them. I don't think this is where I had the 1,200 on, but you guys get the gist, right? So see, I mean, look at this. This is me. I've got like, I think that's 1,700 there out of the 2,000. Let's see what happens here. I can't remember any of this as far as like I remember complaining all the time, but see now I'm just trying to flip. I'm trying to buy here to push it into my order there. I've got like over 1,000 working right there. See that? And then it's first in, first out. So there's a point where I'm going to be first part of this order. I know there's 2,000 there. So even if I needed to get out, I could turn around and get out on this person. See how I'm trying to see how I just keep putting in orders? Guys, this is the games that go on today, like I tell you. I keep putting in orders so they will buy into my offer. I'll probably buy these too, I would think. See how I'm tagging it too? I'm over here, I'm tagging with one loss to see who that order is. And then I can judge, hey, is that a big money house that I never see, or is this the same clown that I'm trading against? It used to be a big poker game, me against another dude all day long. So that wasn't very exciting, but I thought... But anyway, why I got into this is the simplicity thing, right? So do you see any charts here? Do you see 85 indicators here? No, you see order flow. That's all I traded off of. And I made millions of dollars doing it. I'm not bragging. The point is, because it was 20 years ago, it's not glory days. The point is, this is as simple as you can get, and I made millions of dollars. Make your trading simple. Stop trading off 85 things on your chart. So there's your little taste today. I'll have that more. The next Pro Trader webinar, I'll have it more in a format where you can see like it's more condensed and not a lot of swear words. So that's what I did. Brian Montgomery. Hey Scott, do you teach the volume events with a monthly subscription, or is it a separate course? Well, I teach the volume events every day in my room, right? But the problem, it's not a problem. You can definitely learn everything I'm doing on my live trading webinars. I do this twice a day, basically every day, unless the market's really dead in the afternoon. But you can learn as you go. It's just your learning curve is going to be much, much steeper because I'm trading live. And you don't really know all the rules and, okay, what's he doing here? I can't follow along because it's live trading. If you get the course, you can get all this stuff down, and then when you watch the webinars, everything makes sense. But yes, you can learn everything I'm doing by just watching webinars. You can learn a lot of what I'm doing watching these Bookmap replays as well. But if you get the course, you're fast tracked, you're ready to go. And if you remember my room, you get a discount to the course as well. All my courses in mentoring, so on and so forth. But yes, you can learn this stuff as I trade live. But just remember, I don't have time to break down every single rule for everything we're doing because I'm trading live and I'm watching 17 different futures markets, right? All right, so we never got a retest of this zone here. It's definitely a bearish setup, I would say. So nothing doing right here. If it comes back, retest fails, looks like the algo guy just pulled. Now I can take bearish events. So this is very likely going to pop back to at least these algo guys. So my point is now, if this comes back to this event, I can take shorts and I can take barks and licks. You see that this is just popping in here, so I wouldn't trade that lick. Again, this is just, guys, this is like what I was just doing. You see I'm screwing with the market? That's what I used to do, right? So the whole point of the volume events, guys, these are not hypothetical things that I'm just like, I just pull out of my ass, pardon my language. It's how I used to trade. All the setups are how I used to trade when I got caught and what I would do and when people were puking and so on and so forth. That's what that's what my whole basis of my trading is based off of. And it's from watching. I used to average 1 million contracts a month, round turns, 1 million. I was 10% of the E-mini S&P world volume. So I have a little volume experience is what I'm telling you, right? So that's what that stuff is based off of. I challenge you to find anyone on this planet that has more volume experience. I used to sit there 9 hours a day, would barely even get up for a bathroom break, watching every order come in on the order book, right? And you can see it. And then I would tag all the orders coming in as well. All right, what's going there? Here you go. There's your. That took a long time though. It doesn't usually take that long for that retest. Let's see what was. I don't think you guys got stopped out of the one. I'm back down to this. 35, stop at 0250. The 2 is 1075. I don't think you got the 2 on. But you definitely, there's the 1 ATR, and this is the trade. And this is actually starting to be a new trade that actually, no, it's not yet. I'm not even going to go into that. This is the hot knife through butter, but this is not the factors for this. But anyway, here's your retest. You're out. You get in at, what did we say, 32? You're out of the zone. On to the next trade. This is normally a quick scalp trade. It hasn't been so quick. It took about 45 minutes for it to come back to the zone. But it did, and it does all day long. All right, so if that did come back now, I would go short because algo guy is bearish. This is one of the filters I use for my bark trades. If this pulls, then if the blue gets above the red, then I can take some longs. But as of right now, I will take a short. Let me get this little bike bell off of there. So now let's just update this real quick. Make sure before you get filled, you're always updating this ATR because this is ever changing. It's just the current volatility. It's a 5-minute ATR. Now it's down to 2610, right? So you'll see how these prices change. Like right now, if I were to go short with that prior ATR, I'd be going short at 2850. I put in the new ATR. It's not going to be that big of a difference, but it should be a difference. Now it's 30. So I will now, if this comes back, ATR retest confirm, I will put on 4 short at 730. What am I talking about? I'm talking about market moved an ATR below, confirmed it as a bearish setup, retested the zone, fails back out. That's where I take that strategy, bark, blind, ATR, retest, confirm. And I'll go short at 30. Right at the spot gamma level. And you could also say, that I was showing you guys the videos. So I can tell you every day around 10:15 Central, that dude started to play his games every day. And it still kind of goes on now because right around 10:15 is right around 12:15 or 11:15 New York time. That's when people start to go to lunch. The big traders start to go to lunch. That's when the manipulation really goes full force. So I've shown you guys my trading results in the past. It's been going on for 20 years. My biggest down periods are between 10 and noon Central. Every market. It's incredible. Why? Because that's the time that the algos really start to whipsaw. So you could make a rule that you don't trade, or 10:30 now, that you don't even trade from 10 to 12. I got to a point back when I was doing that scalping stuff, I would leave right at 10 o'clock. I would have to leave the office so I wasn't tempted to trade, and I'd come back and I go home. I'd literally go home. I live downtown Chicago. I'd go to my condo, take a nap, come back at noon, and start all over again. But I would force myself to leave so I would not trade in this environment. So my point is, you may not even want to take this trade if it presents itself in these trade hours. So that's a take it from me. Start keeping track of your trades. See what time most of your losers are. I will promise you, there's a very, very good chance between 10 and noon. But anyway, for the sake of the webinar, if it comes back, I could take a short. Again, that's 30. I'll put that in. That's the bark. We'll see if there's any lick down there. 7:30. All right, so that's working. But if this market is able to push above here, and it's all in the spreadsheet, and validation price, if it gets up to 92.25, I can't put that short on, and that idea is done. But until then, I'll have that working. And speaking of which, I'm still short Russell. It's been a sweet trade. Thank God I haven't have to stare at this thing. Literally been short since the beginning of the webinar. So we're talking an hour and a half. But I got out of some. I still got 3 on. All right, any other questions? Throw them in, guys. I got a couple more minutes. Throw them in YouTube. Just waiting for something there. Retest there.
Stop size EW. 323 contracts.
All right, we didn't even get into grains today. Grains are great. Again, this doesn't matter what you're looking at. It's all the same stuff. As long as you know the thresholds, you are doing yourself a disservice if you're staring at one market all day long. Yes, I understand some people don't have the bandwidth to watch 17 markets. You could absolutely, especially with the new drawing tool, and you get this in my room for free right now, so I would take advantage of that too. There's a lot of free stuff in my room, guys, but you get this right now as a beta test. Anyway, it doesn't matter what market you're watching. If you know what is a relevant amount, and I missed a trade here. Here it is. Have you guys seen this routine? Here's the volume event. That was 300 plus buy stops. Here is the ATR. Here is the retest. Here is the retest. Gone. So I should be potentially long this. I'm not going to go into this right now because I'm getting off the webinar, but it doesn't matter what market you're using. Stop watching just the crappy ES all day. You're costing yourself opportunity. So anyway, here's a new event, and we'll just quickly look at this, just bigger picture, because people always like to hear my bigger picture spin. And you know, I am very good at reading, getting a thesis off this stuff, but the bigger picture trade is not that's not my game. Like, my game is the shorter term trading these volume events, right? But this is potentially an Izzy trade. So these are trades that I like. This is an inflection zone. You can see what happened here. Huge directional conviction last week-ish, I think, or the week before. Here we are again with a stop run, and I already know stop runs aren't usually real buying. They're just people puking. So if this fails, it doesn't mean I just jump in a short right here. If it fails out of here in ATR, I will take an Izzy trade short.
Stock size EC. 1,500 contracts.
What the
For nice
heck was that?
EC. 409 contracts.
15. That's corn. I don't usually trade corn, but I mean, you may be able to trade it today.
Stock size EC.
What is going on in corn?
897 contracts.
Holy crap.
Corn stock size EC. 416 contracts.
I think he just said 7. Yeah. 2,000 stops in corn. And then this too. 3,000 stops. 3,500 buy stops. Somebody just puked their brains out is what that is. But you see, just drew it. You can trade off of that just like anything else. Corn most days is like watching paint dry. But I have a feeling it might be whipping around today with 3,500 contracts firing off right now. So guys, if you don't think this is important, you're out of your mind. It's what drives the markets. I don't care. If you're just staring at this, you're like, oh. Now look at the benefit of this right now, right? You're staring at this. This is clearly a balanced breakout. at least from that, right? Anyone I can bring a 3-year-old in here can tell me that's a balanced breakout. But now you're getting stop run pukes. If this holds, it's called a stop and hold. It's one of my 7-6 setups. That is great information because you know whoever was just sitting in this order book right here as offers. Look at that. They're getting run over. Now you have a balanced breakout of all this balance that's been sitting here. You can even say this is the bigger balance, right? Like, that is incredible information to know that 3,000, not only is it breaking out of this balance, 3,000 stops just fired off. Well, who do you think? Somebody's absorbing these stops, and they're getting it handed to them right now, right? Somebody was in the offer to be able for these guys to puke out. Well, guess what? Yeah, they're okay right now, but if this moves higher, you're going to see more stops because these buy stops just ran these guys over. Great information, especially bigger picture. We're breaking out. So my point there was, yeah, it's a balanced breakup, and then you get the volume events, and if you understand how to trade the volume events, you can take advantage of that, and then you know where to place your stop based on those two, where you're wrong if it comes back below here. See what I'm saying? The edge of all edges. There's not a better edge that I've ever seen, and I have a little bit of experience is what I'm trying to tell you guys. All right. I'm out of gas. That Tom B guy's starting in the other room. Let's see if there's any other questions. And I am off. Actually going to Mexico to play golf, so hopefully I come back with my head. That would be cool. Can you share the link on how to build Algo Guy? That's part of my room. Lauren, hop in my room and it's all yours. And you can get all my Thinkorswim charts as well. You don't even need to build them. They're there for you if you want them. Have you ever tried the TTWSI data, my guy spirit indicator? I know that guy is a capable guy. I've heard from reliable sources that it's not fully based off the MBO data, so you could be getting some false positives. I don't know that he may have changed it. I don't know. I'm not talking bad about his stuff. It's just what I've heard. I've never used it. I don't need it. I use the SI indicator from Bookmap. That's where all his stuff's derived from anyway. So that's all you need, in my opinion. But he may have bells and whistles. I don't know. It may be a great indicator. I'm not sure. I wish those Fed guys would take a vacation. Yeah, you're telling me. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, this is probably. Be careful going into this. So this is all part of my room too. You can see it over here. Kashkari, Barkin, Daily, Bar. That's coming up. They're already talking right now. So you may want to even pass on trading right now. We already talked about this time period. Plus these clowns are talking. They usually do good cop, bad cop, and try to prop up the market, and then Powell comes in and lowers the hammer. But again, either way. This is new information. You got these algos that play off these keywords, that stuff that comes out of their mouth. There's plenty of trade. You don't have to be trading with these guys talking. But if you want to, just be ready because it could get a little squirrely. All right, guys. Last one, Brian Montgomery. He's got one more question. The SI indicator trading setups educational 2020 is the correct one to purchase. That's the old one, and it's not anywhere near as detailed as the new one. So the new one's not on the Bookmap marketplace. Here, I'll put this in here if I can. Actually, it's in this document, guys. But no, that's not the new one. You can get the old one, and it's a half price on my website. But I'm telling you, the new one is the old one on steroids times 10. I don't go over any of the ATR. I don't go over zone drawing. I basically go over the setups. Right? It's very, very, very crude. It's still very helpful if you want. If you're trying to save money, but. So just quickly, it's on my website. They're both on my website, but you can see I lowered the price on this one because it's still relevant. It's just not everything I'm doing now, right? Because I adapted my training. This is the new one. So these are all, the drawing of the zones. The old one's here. I cut it in half. So if you want to get the old one, that's fine. If you get the old one, I'll give you a discount on the new one. How about that one? If you do end up doing that, I'll give you like 20% off on the new one if you buy the old one. Other than that, there's the new one. If you remember my room, depending on your subscription, that's all here too. You get discounts to everything that here. So right here, monthly you get 10% off, quarterly 15%, yearly you get 25%. So that's that. All right, I am off, heading to Mexico. I just hope I come back with my head. If I have a head next Thursday, then I will do another webinar. I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully you learn. Remember, the whole point of this is to learn how to do it yourself. See you guys later.